Well, hey guys, Michael and DanO here with episode 3 of our Bucks Island on tour. I think you just got back in town from your first long adventure. Tell me what have you been up to this last week, Dan?
Well, we were down at the Harris Chain of Lakes in Leesburg, Florida, and we got we're covering the Elite Series there, and made the long trip last night in one day trying to get back, and got in late last night. So today's been kind of, well, I say late. We put in 530 some odd miles or whatever, so it was. Late was a relative term by then because you get up at 5 and you hit the road by 6:37 and you drove all day long. We put in a long day, but today's kind of tear down, clean up, get ready because we leave for the Bassmaster Classic next Tuesday.
You believe that? Classic is already here. Ready?
Man, the year's going by already crazy. When you think about it, we've had 4 major events so far just talking in the bass fishing world, let alone, regular life where the calendar's at. But we've had a Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. We've had a Bass Pro Tour, let alone all the Toyota Series and everything else that's gone on in the Opens. 2 Elite Series events, and there's a couple days left in a BPT on Lake Fork right now. So we're talking about 5 major events that are almost complete already, and it's February the 22nd? I guess when you get older, it just goes faster.
I hear that. Well, so tell me about what happened down in Florida.
Well, let's dip real quick into Alabama Bass Trail that was at Neely Henry Lake last week, Saturday.
Okay.
This last Saturday. Blake Heiss and Jonathan Collins, I don't know how they caught them. I haven't delved into any of that stuff yet, but the winning weight was 20.17 pounds. That's big for this time of the year. The lake, the conditions, the cold weather, the rains, and everything else that has happened, the lake kind of underperformed, in my opinion. When you're looking at the final check here, 40th place in an Alabama Bass Trail, was DeLano Green and DeLano Green Jr. from Athens, Alabama, with 3.89 pounds. The lake underperformed for its usual self. I think there's reasons. There may be some other, fish habitat reasons as well. But muddy water, cold water, a lot of current. The conditions changed and created, we had that big storm last Thursday that came through here. But as always with a bass tournament, somebody always catches them. Look at that. Adam Brown from Rainbow City is a good customer of ours. 16.17. We could ask him what he did, but he'd probably not tell us. Anyway.
Magic. They just use magic.
Jeremy Green from Elite Car Spa and his partner Terry Tucker, they finished 8th. They had 10.16 pounds and finished 8th. That's an $1,100 paycheck for those guys. Tough tournament. If I do a quick search, let's see where our other our headlining pro staffer, let's take a quick look and see where the Robinsons fell. They finished 113th with a 0, and that says what that lake's like because Tracy and his son they're good on this lake.
Yeah. Wow.
They're good anywhere. They're good on this lake.
Well, I'm looking forward to shooting the fishing report and hearing Lee and what he has to say about how this past weekend went.
Yeah, I didn't check him either, but I actually just clicked off the page. Anyway, so not a great overall performance on Neely Henry for the Alabama Bass Trail, but someone's got to win, and they won big. It's a big bag this time of the year. It really is.
And it seems like we've got a pretty similar weather forecast over the coming days as well. So maybe unfortunately the cycle may not be ending.
Nope, I hear you there. But so I guess we'll turn to the Elite Series at Harris Chain. Harris Chain has one of those animals that it can be big weight tournament, or it can be a typical Florida up and down tournament like we talked about the last time. Buddy Gross from up there, Chickamauga, Chattanooga area, he won that tournament. 77 pounds, a little over 77 pounds. Did not expect to win. Didn't have a great tournament practice. Did not have a great practice. Our pro staffers, John Cruz, after winning at the St. John's River, didn't find anything. Finished 76 with 23.5. Again, Florida fishing can be pretty tough. Wes Logan, our pro staffer there, he did not have a good tournament himself. Finished 73rd with 23.9. And then the rest of our pro staff got into paycheck position. Matt Herron. Where are we here? Oh, our friend Mark Menendez, 41.12, 3 days, got himself a nice paycheck. Matt Herron finished 41st place with 42.8. Talking to Matt, he was making an hour and a half to 2 hour run every day, which included a lock. And you just got to kind of sit there. They let 3 boats go through at a time. Harris Chain of the Lakes has multiple different bodies of waters and canals you have to go through. So there's an awful lot of idling. So it's not like he hammered down and ran for 2 hours, but there's an awful lot of idling involved.
Right.
And then as far as the Bucks Island pro staff, our headliner for the week was Scott Canterbury. Finished 29th with 46.5. Another $10,000 paycheck for Scott, and puts him in really good position for requalifying for the Classic. Justin Hamner's another one of our pro staff, friends, Falcon guy. He finished 23rd with 47.15, and he was like in 70-something place after day one, and caught 21.15 to move into the cut, and caught another 15 pounds on day 3. To give himself a pretty good finish. So overall, the bite was not consistent. And usually this time of the year in Florida, you'd expect a lot of sight fishing to go on, and that happened, but it wasn't one that way. Buddy Gross, 77.11 was his winning weight, and Buddy fished mostly offshore. Of course, he's known for that. But he fished mostly offshore, Carolina rigs, slipless crankbait a little bit, a couple other small things. But we caught up with Buddy afterwards, and he gave us everything that he was doing. We asked him a few questions, and we got a video with him here, I think.
Yeah. Let's we'll roll that and see what he has to say.
Buddy Gross, second Elite Series win, Harris Chain champion. Tell us about your week, what your thoughts were going in for practice, and then how it all developed.
I had a really bad practice. I did not catch over 10 pounds in practice none of the days. One day I didn't catch but 2 fish, and I just kind of went back to my roots. I went back to the grass, found and marked a bunch of holes, thought I was going to fish the grass. I idled off the grass one day, and I idled over this little point, and it had several fish stacked up like they'd be on the school. I thought, man, that looks like bass, and I've seen so much fish in Florida that it's not bass. I made myself turn around, made one cast, caught 12 inches, my another cast got a 15 inches. That's where I'm going to start. And it was right here in Harris. And when I went to fish it the first day, I caught 30 fish and probably caught 25, 20, whatever I weighed in, all came off that spot in just a few minutes. And after I caught them, I started looking for more spots like that. So I spent half a day just looking, and when I did, I found more and more fish, and it just turned into something special.
You're known as one of the better offshore fishermen in the business. What makes you focus on shallow when you're known as that kind of an angler?
I like offshore anything. It can be shallow, deep. I just want some kind of structure or some kind of ledge or some kind of turn. I just want something that I know the fish are going to relate to in order for me to be able to visualize what's going on under that water, and that's kind of how I achieve what I do. I mean, that's all I can say.
But you come here and you start shallow.
I did.
And what makes you do that as opposed to working in the other way, which
because
is normal strength?
When I am shallow, there's grass, there's holes, there's clumps. I just like those targets. When I find isolated anything, it's just like being offshore, and that's what I'm looking for.
So what was the pattern that you caught? I mean, you caught them on several different things. Today was a Carolina rig, but give us a breakdown of the baits.
I caught them on a Scotch Spur Tackle 5-inch swim bait. Was always a key bite. 2 different days this week. and then the Carolina rig was today, but most of the time it's been a Texas rig. And I switched back to Texas rig today just because I had a better hookup ratio. I was missing a few on the Carolina rig. They were hitting it running. I mean, you didn't have much time, so you had to be ready. And but it was a Zoom Z crawl worm, and it did a good job today.
Well, congratulations again. Thanks for the time, brother.
Thank you very much.
So did he have any other tidbits he shared once the camera stopped rolling, or
No, it honestly, he was taking an awful lot of pictures. He stayed out in front of the stage. It took us a little bit to get to him.
I thought you were going to grab a broom there for a second and start helping clean up the stage.
Well, we were there for quite a little while waiting for people. They seemed to want to take pictures with him, and the crowds were big.
Good.
I really thought Saturday was a big day. Every day had good crowds, with their expo like they had at Neely Henry. Every day were pretty big crowds. I figured Sunday was going to be a little slim with the Daytona 500 starting at 2:30. That was the biggest day of the week. Wow. There were a couple thousand, 3,000 people there filling that place, and they did a drive-through weigh-in with the trucks bringing the boats through, and man, there was just a lot of them wanted to come up and take pictures with Buddy. So it was kind of a neat experience to see it, to be there and be able to see people warm to that. It was really cool.
Well, cool. Well, it's definitely nice to have an inside man down there to get us a scoop and get us some insight. I guess the so what wrap up, what's some stuff that we can take, for guys fishing around our area, listening and watching and learning from what they did down there.
What I would say is don't get stuck in a they should be mode. They were in Florida, full moon. The weather was warming to the point where by day 3 it was 80 some odd degrees, 81 degrees in the afternoon. And, I wore my flip-flops to take off in the mornings, and my shorts. I wasn't in,
right.
It was warm. It was in the 60s. It was warm. High 50s, early 60s. It was warm. But I think fishermen in general get locked into this is what the fish should be doing, so I'm going to do this, and we miss things. And for a body of water that has an average depth of 10 foot, and it's many bodies of water, but the deepest part in every one of those lakes is just at 30 feet. And it's Florida, so there's tons of vegetation and there's all those things out there. Just because we live in a shallow body of water, or we're fishing on a shallow body of water, doesn't necessarily mean that the fish are going to be on the bank. They can still be shallow, but they can get offshore, and that's where Buddy wanted. He stayed right in Harris, which is where the tournament takeoff was, in Lake Harris, and he fished offshore. He caught him on a swim bait, Scottsboro tackle swim bait. He caught him on that lipless crankbait. He caught him on a Carolina rig. And what I would say to people is broaden your horizons a little bit. Mm-hmm. I noticed here coming from California, people that I fished with, typically an adjustment seems to be doing something different in the same places that we were fishing. And I know I've been guilty of that in the past too, but a lot of times it seems like the biggest adjustment somebody makes when I'm fishing with them around here is that they stay in the same water. They just pick up a shaky head or something. And it may be time for us to try to adjust to a different thing. And Buddy practiced shallow. He practiced on the bank, didn't find it, and kind of wandered out. And on tournament day, found it. The other thing that I would say is have a lot more confidence in your innate ability to know what you've done. If you've been fishing for 20 years, you have some instinct.
Right.
Follow it. Mike Iaconelli said it best. If you watch Mike Iaconelli, when he comes back into a tournament, people see 20 rods on the deck of his boat. And for most people, that means, oh my gosh, I'm hunting and I don't know what I'm doing and I haven't found anything. With Mike Iaconelli, that means he's following his gut. And you see Mike have a good day and there's 20 rods on the boat. Mike followed his gut, and it might have been a junk fishing fest, but Mike followed his gut and his gut told him something. And he's just kind of operated with his instincts are good enough after 30 years of competing is if I think it, I try it. Give yourself a chance to try something. Guys, the Carolina rig is a great setup, and Buddy caught a bunch of those. He turned to a Texas rig later in the day because he was finding some short bites on day 4, and he ended up calling another fish that helped put him over 21 pounds or 22 pounds for his final day limit. But he caught a lot of his fish that day on a Carolina rig. Don't discount it. You know, the old 2-plunk rig, ball and chain as people call it, it catches them. So try something new. We've got all the stuff up there in the loft for you to try new things. Stop us, talk to us, ask us a question. And if it's a day that I'm in there and I'm in there, you know, feel free. Let's talk fishing. I love it and love to share information.
Well, speaking of talking fishing, we got Fish Fest coming up. So you guys are going to be hot off the classic and rolling in here on 2 wheels. Sounds like we got a good crew of guys coming, including John Cruz and our standard complement of elite guys. What's the latest on Fish Fest?
So we've got Cliff Pace, former Bassmaster Classic champion, Major League Fishing pro, is going to be there. Greg Vinson from Wetumpka, Alabama. He's coming with the American Bait Works, which is halo rods and snag proof and net bait and all those things. He's coming with them. They've got I'm going to try to have some there for everybody if we can. They've got a new scent coming called Bait Fuel. And the guys have been using it. And from what I gather, it has an enzyme type of a thing to it that helps actually kind of make a real difference as opposed to just covering scent. Anyway, we might have some samples to be able to give away there or be able to let people try. Anyway, he represents that. We got John Cruz is coming. He's coming over Friday night. He's going to be here late Friday night. He'll be there. We're going to make sure that the guys that are going to the Classic, so usually we do our afternoon as our headliners. We're going to move that this time. We're going to have the guys that are heading on to the Classic because they're they're done with the Classic. They're heading on to Santee, right? Cooper. Yep, they're going to Santee Cooper. So we're going to make sure they get on the way so that they can get all set up. So we're going to do our early seminar is going to be our headliner seminar with the national pros and get those Q&As done there. But Wes Logan will be there. Scott Canterbury is going to be there. And then the cool thing too is that on Friday, the 11th, we're doing a demo day right at Rainbow Landing. Actually, I've noticed that they're paving the facility there at the new Southside ramp. Maybe that'll be open. We could do it there. Yeah. Anyway, Matt Herron's going to headline that group. Justin Elliott will be there with his Skeeter. I'll be there with my F205 Falcon. We can take a ride in that. And then Jason Brewer and Bill Mayo are coming with their Bass Cats. We got a Puma STS and a Era to take rides in. So that's going to be a pretty cool deal on that Friday. So you get to see Matt that day, but he's got to go set up the camper. And doing it now, it takes a little bit to set up a camper and get yourself ready to start practicing, so I can understand where he's coming from on that one. But Fish Fest is going to be cool. We'll have raffle prizes. Won't have a crappie section this year because Lee Pitts, who headlines our crappie stuff, he's actually fishing the Alabama Bass Trail that Tracy Robinson fished in the second event of that season up at Smith Lake. So we won't have that this year. But we'll put a crappie thing together. But I do think, Michael, you pulled together some kayak type stuff that we're going to be talking about too.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out. I was actually just looking. I don't know. If it keeps raining, we're going to be short on water in the back to get the boats out there on Saturday, like we did last year. This time of year,
not short, just fast.
No. Well, with Minnesota Bend and the with them dropping the water, it's just, especially if you're running something like the Hobies with the pedal drives, it's just not quite deep enough. So we'll see. But at the very least, we're going to have a couple of guys that have been out fishing, like Joe McElroy should be in here. He just coming off the Hobie tournament out in at Lake Fork. Yeah.
And then I think
Toledo Bend. I'm sorry, Toledo Bend. He fished the first. Well, I guess he came in second with the first ever Bassmaster kayak tournament here on. So we'll have a few guys that have been fishing the national scene, and then we're going to have a few guys that have fished a lot of the local stuff. So if you're kind of new to kayak fishing. Or trying to figure that thing out, want to understand more about how this kayak tournament stuff goes. I think we're gonna have a good group of guys, and of course, just talking all sorts of accessories and So and hey, anglers like accessories, right? That's what we're all about. So
yeah, the newest thing will catch you the biggest fish, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but we'll have the full complement. If we got the water, then we'll have the boats ready to go. You get out and demo the Hobies and the Jacksons. But should be fun either way. And of course, speaking of the water access, if you can't make it to Fish Fest, once we get good water back there, pretty much any day can be a demo day here at Bucks Island, and that's one nice thing that we've got with these kayaks. So get you out there and you can play with the boats, test them out. Certainly encourage you to do that. See just how stable they are. One of these days, maybe we'll convince you that you won't flip one over now. I've
done it.
I know.
I've done it in a Hobie fisherman. So
well. But so that's all that's going on. If you stuck in this long, appreciate it. I've been building out as we talk about the tackle with these different Bucks Island on tours, building out tackle collections on our website, shopbucksisland.com. You can go there, and a lot of the tackle that these guys are talking about, they're all right there on the same page. Try and make it easy to find stuff. So certainly encourage you to head on over there and check it out. And of course, if you're local and nearby, then come on in to the loft. We've got, we're getting new stuff in. I saw piles of stuff in this morning. They're getting put up on the shelves. So, but other than that, I guess the next time we'll be talking, it'll be after the Classic, right? Or are we squeezing one in between then?
We're gonna try to get a Bass Pro Tour interview done with the winner of the Bass Pro Tour Lake Fork. We'll try to coordinate that. If not, I'll try to get the information and we'll at least talk about it. I would like to get them on a call and be able to get that video like we did with Bradley Roy. That's always a big deal. Yeah. But then yes, we'll do one right after the Classic, and then we'll do one after Santee, and then I get a couple of weeks to kind of figure everything out. After Fish Fest, and maybe actually do a little bit of fishing myself instead of driving.
That would be odd. Well, then we got to get into some Bucks Island Lives. So
some of my favorite stuff.
But anywho's, thanks. Glad you've had some fun out there on the road. This has been fun to try and get a recap. And guys that are watching, I hope that you get a little something out of it. Learn a little tip or two. That's why we do all this stuff. Try to have some fun and help you learn. So again, Fish Fest, March 11th for the demo rides, March 12th for all the seminars and giveaways and food and just some good fellowship. So I guess all that's left to do is to say thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.